And today it will be a video on the NBA trade deadline and how it can affect the playoffs later to come. Who are some possible trade targets for most teams and where I think they'll end up based on what Adrian Wojnarowski says in this video.
And I'm asking this from a selfish point of view. What's the latest on Lonzo Ball and possible destinations for him?
So Lonzo Ball, just as a precursor and prematurely saying this before Adrian says anything, you guys see that Lonzo Ball's out with an apparent injury and he's been out for a long period of time with the injury. And then the Pelicans, they have Zion Williamson and Brandon Ingram. They're two stars who they're trying to build around. And they've done some pretty big trades, won the lottery where they picked Zion. And so I think that it would be a very plausible idea for them to go after someone and trade Lonzo away because he does have some pretty high value. So let's see what Woj has to say.
Well, listen, Lonzo Ball did not reach agreement with New Orleans on his rookie contract extension before the season. He'd be a restricted free agent after the year. And, I think there's a sense on both sides that a new home would make sense for him. Mm-hmm. Chicago's a team to watch here. They need a point guard.
Chicago, I think later in this video, we're just gonna talk about how Zach LaVine's a possible trade. The Bulls could trade him. Maybe I don't know if that would work out with the Bulls in the Pels, but we'll see.
They have, I think for Ball's side, it's a place with some young talent. Zach LaVine. A group in Chicago under Billy Donovan that you've seen grow this year in his first season as coach. Philadelphia, I know, has reached out. They've been in the market for a point guard. I think Philly's more of a long shot for Lonzo Ball.
Yeah.
But I do think that there's a pretty good chance he moves before Thursday's trade deadline. There have, again, been talks with the Bulls. That's certainly going to be one to watch.
Now, Woj's crazy, right? We expect, Oladipo, we've heard Lowry, we heard about Ball, mm-hmm. but a name that we hadn't mentioned until very shortly is Aaron Gordon. Where would he fit and where would be?
Aaron Gordon also had an injury. I don't know if there's a correlation between injuries and trading, even though it was like an ankle sprain. I think he was out for the month, and he's shown some promise for the Magic, but yeah, they're the Magic, so they need to do anything they can. And Vucevic, I think, is also a possible one trade target for some teams, but I'm not sure about that one.
Be some likely suitors for him.
Yeah, Orlando's had talks really all over the league for Aaron Gordon. In the last few days, certainly, the Boston Celtics, the Denver Nuggets, there had been some conversations with Houston. And I think it's even more wide open than that. Okay. I think they're going to keep taking offers in Orlando right up until Thursday's trade deadline. So he has expressed frustration. They've had a lot of injuries in Orlando. I think he's been maximized under their coach, Steve Clifford. But you've seen Markelle Fultz lost for the year, Jonathan Isaacs lost for the year. Two of their very best players with the Magic. This could possibly be his final days in Orlando.
Yeah, I can see that.
Listen, they've kind of taken with some of this core team in Orlando, gone up to the deadline before, had a lot of talks with guys and held on to players. But I think there's traction now for Gordon to find a new home. Boston will be an interesting team here. They have the first round picks that would appeal to Orlando. And I think trying to get two first-round picks for Gordon has been a priority for this front office.
Woj, I'm a huge Lakers fan, so forgive me for leading with my fandom. But with regard to the LeBron James injury, Frank Vogel earlier this week said that
I don't know how long LeBron will be out for, but yeah, I can see them going after someone, definitely.
what they did at the trade deadline. How active do you expect my Lake Show to be at the deadline, and who would be some of the prospective targets that they would go after?
Well, they've been real active. It's a question, I think, for the Lakers of whether they get some things done here before Thursday's trade deadline or go into the buyout market. And obviously, in the buyout market, if you have the roster spots available.
I don't know if this means anything or not, but Frank Vogel's been speaking about how he says that he likes the team, even though Davis and James are out, but they just absolutely got destroyed by the Pelicans yesterday without Lonzo Ball, and then so I think they should be active.
Available, players who become free agents because typically they don't get traded at the trade deadline. It's a way to improve your team without losing anything. Andre Drummond is certainly at the top of that list from Cleveland. I think it's unlikely he's traded with his contract between now and tomorrow. And there'll be, listen, all the significant contenders, the Clippers and Lakers, Boston, certainly Brooklyn, some others around the league who will be real interested in Drummond come the buyout market. He very likely would be a starter in LA.
I'd like to see the Warriors get Andre Drummond, but I don't know about that.
Some perimeter help around the league in their trade talks. And I think
I'm going to skip by the Lakers since they probably won't do anything.
Might be ready as
So Kyle Lowry, this is I think in my opinion the biggest one here, and the most defining one for both ways, which even if he stays or goes.
Maybe a leading candidate. Where would it be?
Well, certainly the Sixers, Heat have had interest, and those are teams that match.
I think he's going to stay in the East. That's one big thing that I'm thinking here, but you never know.
Where if he was going to leave Toronto, where he'd like to go. The one thing about Kyle Lowry and how Toronto is handling this process, they're giving him a voice in this. They're not going to send him somewhere.
Yeah, like Kyle Lowry's done so much for the Raptors. I think they love each other. The organization's really good, but I think it's the time now.
He doesn't want to go play. Masai Ujiri, their president, he really values what Lowry has meant to that franchise, helping them win a championship, becoming a perennial playoff team during his time. And so he's going to have voice, his agent, Mark Bartelstein, if they get to that point of pulling the trigger on a deal. But I'll tell you what, there's a great deal of interest in Lowry. He's obviously a free agent this summer. Philadelphia, Miami. But I think teams in both conferences, and I think there's a lot on that Toronto board that they can take to Kyle Lowry and get a sense. And then Norman Powell, who's another younger guard with Toronto.
Norman Powell's
19 points a game this season. He's 27 years old. He would probably decline his team option this year and become a free agent. As many as a dozen teams really interested. And so both of those players are going to be a vehicle for Toronto, to really kind of transform their roster at the trade deadline and then start moving forward with that young core of Fred VanVleet, Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby, and not have to rebuild as much as kind of reshape this thing on the fly.
Hi guys, that's going to do it for the reaction to Woj's expertise on Lonzo Ball, Aaron Gordon, Andre Drummond, and Kyle Lowry, and the trade line being tomorrow, what this is going to affect the playoffs, teams in the future, and where these guys will go. And make sure to like and subscribe, and also comment if you want me to. I know Deshaun Watson got released today by the Texans, so tell me if you guys want me to do NFL content or MLB content, because I also do know a lot about those two sports as well. Thank you.